Hi everyone, this is the third video in a series demonstrating our current Practice Solutions Suite, or PSS for short, toolbar. Quick bit of background, if you're here and you're watching this, you probably already know that PSS is an electronic medical record, or EMR for short. I'm one of the super users at Black Creek Community Health Center. We transitioned to PSS back in March 2020, and we've been continually upgrading and customizing the toolbar to make it more useful. I want to give a bit of credit to Tyler Kempt at Port Hope CHC for some important insights, as well as Aaron Barnes at Black Creek CHC for ongoing feedback. Instead of showing everything about this toolbar, I'm going to focus on the changes that I've made since the last video. Links to those previous videos are in the description if you want to go back and see other features that were already there. Today we're just going to focus on the new stuff. Probably the most obvious change is a cosmetic one. I've added a lot of icons to the tabs to make it easier to find what you're looking for. In some cases, it's just Creative Commons licensed icons pulled off the internet, like this little stick figure. But in as many cases as possible, it's icons that are already part of PSS. For example, this symbol beside tracking, it's the same one as a symbol used for flowsheets in the fixed icon toolbar, because below it, these are all flowsheet elements. And this other symbol is for graphing, also from the fixed icon toolbar, because the elements below it are graphing elements. So even if it isn't intuitively obvious what they're supposed to be, reusing the built-in icons reinforces the iconography that's built into PSS. So I believe there's a better chance that we're going to learn it with repetitive use and be able to find things easier and quicker, because we don't have to read it every time. We can just look for those particular images. So beside the encounters symbol, that's the same one as in the fixed toolbar. The symbol under or in for the handouts and recs tab, it's the same one as the one from the dashboard. I can't show it to you because of confidentiality, but the form symbol here and the letter symbol are also from the toolbar here in the patient's chart, and the message symbol is the same as another one from the dashboard. The lab symbol for lab requisitions to reach our lab rec menu, and the imaging symbol to reach the imaging requisition menu, these are the same as from the fixed icon toolbar. The blue square with an H in it, that's a universal hospital symbol, and that lets you reach our local hospital's requisitions menu. And this trillium symbol is a symbol that leads to public health requisitions. The all requisitions menu also has some of the symbols to reinforce the message and make it easier to find the things that you want. One of the guiding principles in making this toolbar has been to make the toolbar itself and the nested menus within it like an index, where you can reach the same information from a lot of different places, meaning you're much more likely to find what you're looking for, even if you don't start looking for it in the number one most obvious place, or really what, as the designer, I thought the most obvious place for finding that thing should be. Being able to find something in the number two most obvious, or even the number three most obvious place, means you're much less likely to get lost and frustrated trying to find what you want. So here's an example. The trillium symbol under the handouts and requisitions tab, that's used for lab requisitions for public health. But we've reused it in the forms tab for government forms. Because it's the same symbol, if people click on it because they're used to looking for public health stuff and they're in the wrong tab, they can still access the public health requisitions menu from it by here. And vice versa. If you're used to finding the government forms and you thought you were where you should be and you're in the handouts and requisitions tab, you can still get there off that menu. We're reusing the lab symbol under tracking because this will give you a flow sheet with many of the common labs that we've decided at Black Creek CHC that we want to track, instead of the much larger list of all received labs where it can be harder to find what you're looking for. And just to the right of this line are graphs of most of the same labs, plus a few additional vitals. In the letters tab, we've used the icon that's on the fixed icon toolbar that's meant to sort consultation reports, and we've repurposed it as a symbol for making referrals. We also see a repeat of the hospital symbol for both our local hospital's billing letter, as well as the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care's information bulletin as documentation for our uninsured patients going to the hospital during the pandemic. Under the Vaccines tab, we've added the Ontario Immunization Schedule, which was updated in January this year. It causes a pop-up in whatever browser you use. And we've also linked to it in our websites, our pull-down menu for websites. And one more new feature, it's a diagrams menu. So in both the Encounters tab and the Forms tab, this little stick person icon brings up a diagram menu. It's a mix of the diagrams that are built into PSS as well as diagrams uploaded, which are a little clearer or more aesthetically pleasing than the default diagrams that you can reach by going at the top menu to Data and then New Diagram. So as an example of something that's just easier to use, the rheumatology homunculus is clickable for the joints instead of drawable. But most of these other diagrams here, all of the other diagrams here, are drawable, so you can mark off the location of things that you want to document. So I've saved what I think is the biggest change for last, which is integrating a results feature into the main toolbar. To the right, you can see the elements that are the EMSA indicators, missing only the flu vaccine, plus a couple other non-EMSA screening tests that were part of the original separate preventive care toolbar. And I think it's worth integrating, if only that you save a bunch of space. Anytime you add extra toolbars, space gets wasted because PSS has a minimum size and you can't make it smaller than that. And saving that space, I think, makes up for not being able to make the distinction between female and male elements. Those, it's not like you can't, because you could just change that and have two active toolbars. It's just more work every time you update it when you've got more active versions of the toolbar. But the real sort of point of interest is the extra bit of information on the left. This includes not only some of the labs that were on that preventative toolbar before, but it adds a few other elements, and it adds the actual value of the results. I think this is important because a lot of times when I'm interested in a particular result, I'm finding myself clicking through to see the result and then clicking back to get where I was. This way, all the information is just right there. Besides what used to be there, there's a few other results, mainly because in my workflow, I find that every time I'm renewing certain prescriptions, for example, I want to know the actual value of the results to see if I'm at target. So for example, if it's a statin, I'm thinking about when we last checked the LDL. Have we met the target? Do we need to test it again? Same with TSH, right? When I'm renewing levothyroxine, when did I check it last? Was it high? Was it low? Same with INR and renewing warfarin. Same with blood pressure and renewing blood pressure medications. An added feature of this too is that the results are flagged to bring your attention to the results, not necessarily saying that there's a problem with them, but it's something that maybe deserves attention. Some are highlighted with yellow, some have the result changed to red font, some have the result and the name in a red font, depending on how likely it is to be a result that needs some kind of intervention. So for example, LDL, if it's over 2, which is the threshold for high-risk patients, highlights yellow. If it's 3.5 or higher, then the result itself, the value of the results, it becomes a red font. And then if it's over 5, which is a threshold for low risk, then highlight yellow, the result is red font, and the name is in a red font too. The blue background, same color, chosen to be consistent with the tracking tabs. And you can see here too, I've kept the original Prevent Care toolbar just to make sure that the new one I've created is tracking things properly and consistently with that. And that's it. I think an important point to remember is that this toolbar isn't meant to be a universal toolbar. A big part of why it's useful is that it's been customized over last year to suit our CHC's needs. And like the previous videos, this is really meant to give you an idea of what's possible. And it's definitely not the best way to do everything. I think that you really need a person who works where you are to implement the changes that you want to see. Thank you for watching.